we're joined with Shana. Sam, how are you?
I'm very well, Dan. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for taking time out your evening. We are recording on bonfire night, so if you hear any fireworks, do apologise.
Yeah, I've got some going on as well outside. So yeah, it's not
Yeah,
it's not like wind or anything.
yeah, it's well, you've got an excuse now at least.
Exactly, it's a bloody firework.
So,
No, it's
yeah,
nice to be here. I've got nothing better to do tonight, Dan.
nah, me
First day
neither.
after lockdown.
So, how's 2020 been for you so far? I know it's not been the best year, but
No, it's obviously missing the gigs and festivals. Because I think like my whole year since the age of like 16 has just revolved around like what gig I'm going to next, what festival I'm going to next. And like just the kind of memories I miss, like making new memories. But it's not been too bad. Like my day-to-day job, I worked from home anyway, and I've worked throughout the whole year. So day to day it's been exactly the same.
what do you do? Sorry.
I work for my local council. It's very boring.
I thought you'd have something to do with music.
No, that's what everyone thinks. Everyone thinks I just do what, like, everyone thinks I'm a full-time Twitter person. I'm like, no, I've got a really busy job, like Monday to Friday.
Well,
Yes,
obviously,
it's not been too bad.
on the side, you have your own radio show as well. So, like, what's that like?
Yeah, it's pretty like the first one I ever did. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Someone said, "Oh, do you want to do a new music show?" And like me being me, I'm always enthusiastic. Like I'll say yes to anything. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And they sent me all this software, and obviously I pre-record all my shows at the moment. So they sent me this software and taught me how to use it, like upload songs and things. So the first one took me about, I don't know, took me like a week to get my head around it. But no, it's really good fun, and it's just like a little side thing. But I do enjoy doing it.
Yeah, and obviously, you're one of the biggest like Twitter profiles for upcoming bands. You could say for like supporting new bands and new music. So, like, how did you actually get into it? Like, how? Cause obviously, like, you've got a really big following, but like, how did it all start?
What, the big following or my love for new music?
Um, the big following and then the love for new music.
Well, the big following, I can't, it's not the reason now because it happened over 2 years ago, but it was just Downing a Pint and it got like 1.6 million views or something. Yeah, so that was like where the first like influx of followers came from. But my love for new music, really, I've always been to gigs and I've always seen support acts and going to festivals and stuff. I've always been quite proactive in going to watch bands I've never heard of before. You know, when sometimes you're walking past a tent and you think that sounds really good.
Yeah.
So like over the years, over that last like 10 years, I found a lot of bands that way just by walking past and going, these sound really good, or like going to like the introducing stage and like this feeling stages at festivals. But yeah, I just think like everyone deserves a chance, don't they? And I know how difficult it is for them to get their music heard, and some of the new music is just as good as stuff that we hear in the charts. I think that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, in starting the podcast, I've realised like a lot of artists who aren't recognisable household names are sometimes better than the big acts. Like, some of the people I've had on recently have been absolutely exceptional musicians, but they just don't really have like the people out there, sharing the music. But there's so much good music out
Exactly.
there. There really
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Like there's just so many good bands out there, and like I don't really listen to sort of the normal charts. I don't get time because I just get so much new music sent to me. It's just all my time is just new music. But it is like there's some sensational artists out there.
Who do you think, like, in your opinion, will be the next breakout act?
How big are we talking? Because there are obviously a few bands that have kind of broken through. Do you talking like someone that maybe most people haven't have heard of?
So, like, if we think about like five, what I think 4 years ago, like Blossoms broke out, didn't they? With like their
Yeah,
debut, now they're at like high level. Obviously,
yeah,
DNA has more recently broken out to like this sort of level. So, like, I know the Laugh-Uns are currently doing that. I'd say like they're
yeah.
one of the main ones, but like in terms of like an unknown band, have you got any
Okay.
ideas?
Well, I would say like if I had to choose, maybe like do you know Candid from Coventry?
Yeah,
I think they've got potential to be absolutely massive. They've just like watching them live as well. They are a fantastic band live. And the Claws as well, they're another Midlands band. Red Rum Club from Liverpool. I think they're kind of making waves now, but I can totally see them like on a Glastonbury stage. Who else? Like just there's so many. Stanley's from Wigan. They're really good. Yeah, there's
yeah.
loads.
Yeah, obviously we spoke to Candid like a while ago. That was like one of the first interviews we did very early, and we spoke with Miles Cheshire as well. And yeah, Candid is definitely one of those. They remind me very much of Catfish and the Bottomman.
Yeah, they do have that vibe, don't they?
When Catfish
Yeah.
came through, it's the whole aesthetic as well. Like with them, it's all black and white, and the way they did them.
Yeah.
You know that their live show they did, like in lockdown, the video, the streamed one, and that was like very catfishy.
Oh, that was brilliant, wasn't it? That was so good. Yeah, that was one of my highlights. I think one of their lockdown show. That was really good. There's just loads. There's so many. That's the hardest thing I think with all the new bands having social media as a platform. And I said this before, so if you've listened to me on a podcast before, you're like, oh, like a broken record. But no, but I think it's really difficult because there's so many bands, and it's just so many bands trying to get to the next stage. But there's a lot of bands all on the same level. So I think they've got to have something really special or really lucky to get up to the next stage. But there's just so many. I could name you loads that I love.
Like, the one thing like about Candid and the whole Midland scene is they're all like boosting each other up. So like the people like Jack Catton and who are the other ones? Oh, there's loads.
Jack Fletcher Band.
Yeah, and they all like support each other, don't they? It's really good
Yeah.
to see actually, because I think it's like similar to what's happening in Liverpool as well, with like Jamie Webster and Red Rum Club. They all kind of support each other to boost each other up. And
Definitely. And you said, I think you can do a podcast with Columbia. They're Liverpool boys, and
yeah,
they're brilliant as well. There's a band called CN. They're from Liverpool. And who else? There's just loads. Like Liverpool's got loads of great bands at the moment.
yeah,
There's loads
really
of
good.
musical talent. Yeah.
The music scene at the moment is thriving. It's weird because obviously this year there's not been live music really. So I suppose
No.
it's been a really
I'm just
weird one.
wondering, like now like the first lockdown, like all the bands are like really keen to do like live covers and like live shows. I just think the second lockdown, everyone's like, can't be asked me. Can't be asked now. Just
Yeah,
done with it.
we did a podcast earlier talking about lockdown too. It's actually it's out this weekend, and we had like 4 artists on, all discussing it about how it's like we're just fed up with it, to be honest. Like it's just, if we would have maybe been a bit more patient the first time round, we wouldn't be here where we are today. And we were talking about like
Who
how it can
knows?
impact people's mental health and just stuff like that.
Definitely. I think everyone sort of gets really angry and like points the blame at this and points the blame at the government and the people for not abiding by the rules. But I just think at the end of the day, like at the end, this is so new for everybody. Like there's definitely been loads of mistakes made. Like the government have completely messed it up. But I think at the same time, like you don't really know like what's going to happen. Like the virus could have just disappeared and we would have been fine. But yeah, I'm sick of it as well. There's fireworks going on at the moment, by the way. I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear them?
Very, very faintly.
Oh, that's okay. It sounds really loud to me.
So
But yeah, so another 4 weeks, so they say. But by the looks of it, it could be a bit longer. But you never know. We'll go with it.
So have you been to many social distance gigs at all?
Only one. So I hosted the event in Manchester. Like the podcast that I do, the guys so Stu from the Pentatonic, we put on like a live Q&A. That's the only live music that I've seen. So we saw the lottery winners, the Recreation, and Uno Mas, who was supposed to be Stanley's, but Stanley's all had COVID, so they couldn't come, which is a blessing in disguise because we didn't know that they had it until after the event. So it's a good job that they said, oh, one of us is feeling a bit ropey. But yeah, so that's the only live music I've seen since DMA's in March. What about you?
I went to like an event, but it was like not, it wasn't the same because obviously when you just sat down, yeah, it's not the same. I've not been to a gig since last year actually now.
No way.
It's been so like obviously I had like gigs booked this year. I was supposed to see Paul Heaton, supposed to see DMA, supposed to see Blossoms, and obviously it's all been cancelled.
Oh, it's crap, isn't it?
I
know this year was my first ever Glastonbury. Like I was so excited. And yeah, probably next year won't even be my first ever Glastonbury. It'll be the year after by the looks of it. But yeah, it's such a shame, isn't it? Such a shame.
Festival has been back on, to be honest. So
no, well, I've heard about a possible like testing, like they're going to try and develop some tests that if you're going to a gig or festival, on entry you get tested, and obviously if you're negative, then it's fine. So providing that the tests are accurate, because I think a lot of the testing that's going on at the moment isn't necessarily 100%. Like I've seen people say that they went to the test centre and didn't even get tested because they couldn't bother to wait, and they get a positive result, and they're like, I didn't even have the swab. But yeah, I think if there was a like a robust testing system in place within 6 months, that people can go to a gig or festival, get tested on the way in, providing you're negative, you're just going to be with loads of other people that aren't positive. So
The problem
you
with
never
that
know.
is, like, what if you test positive and you've paid for a ticket? Would you get a refund? Or is it like the risk?
You'd hope so, Dan.
Yeah, I know you would, but you know what they're like.
Just slip your wristband off to someone.
Oh, yeah.
But that's true though, I guess, because if you're positive and you're in the queue, then you could infect someone that's queuing up. So yeah, that's kind of a bit backward, isn't it? Didn't think of that.
So yeah, I can't see festivals happening next year. We'll definitely know like the Glastonbury's, unless there is a cure. Right, they should pull the finger out.
No.
Find a cure.
Well, apparently they were developing a vaccine in Oxford, weren't they? Oxford University. But I guess it's a lot of work, a lot of testing and retesting, and yeah. But who knows? 2022 is looking good, maybe.
Oh no. Well,
Got to laugh, haven't you? What else can we do?
If you don't laugh, you'll cry. But
exactly.
So, like, do you know, going back to music, obviously, like, I think you're a big fan of Oasis, and obviously we are as well. At
I do know what gave you that idea, Dan.
Yeah.
What gave you that idea? Goodness sake.
Would you say Oasis is your favourite band?
Yes, Oasis are like, yeah, they've been my favourite band for so long. Yeah, there's just an Oasis for every mood for me. Like I'll listen to loads of new music and I'm like, oh, I just need I could like crave Oasis, and I just stick Oasis on for a bit. Yeah, I love them. They're just amazing. They're just such a great band. I'd love a band just to come along with like balls of Oasis nowadays and just be like, this is it. That's what I want to see. I don't think any band really, maybe Kasabian, in terms of like, come on. I think Kasabian was the last band, and Arctic Monkeys maybe, but then Alex, I love Alex Turner, don't get me wrong, but I think he's just a different kind of frontman than like Liam Gallagher and
like upcoming frontmen. If they came out like behaving how Liam Gallagher did back in the 90s and stuff, they'd be accused of copying.
That's
like,
true.
Obviously,
but in the same kind of impression, like just like
yeah, because like, when he did it, it was like brand new, wasn't it? Obviously, like they had the big rivalry with Blair because like they were completely different. And like when Arctic Monkeys like rose to prominence, there was no band like competing with them at that level.
True.
So like coming up now, I don't really know, like because Cortinas they're at a high level, but I think they're like peaked. Like I can't see them getting any higher. Do you know what I mean? I think they've found.
Yeah, I must admit though, I think they kind of went a bit off for me, Cortinas. Like I really liked their last album. There's a couple of good songs. I know what you mean. Like they're not going to get back up to the level that they were. But I think it's about being not only like just a good band, but you have to be in the right place in the right time, and it has to be like appropriate for whatever the culture is, whatever society wants at that present moment. But I think nowadays, where we've just got access to the internet, I think, and just everything's just so open, isn't it? I don't think we're like controlled by the media. So the media like controls what you listen to and kind of like everyone's minds. We're kind of a bit more free now, so it's difficult to pin one type of music on everybody.
The thing with like Cortinas is they're really big in England, but not an international band.
No.
I think like Arctic Monkeys are not 1975. I just think they're like the two biggest in the world from England.
Absolutely, they've done amazing. Like, we need more Arctic Monkeys music.
What did you make of the last album?
Well, do you know what? I like it now. It took me a while, but I enjoy it now. It's not my favourite album, but I like it and I get it now. But it did take me a couple of years. Like it's probably in the last like 6 months when I've listened through it a few times, and I'm just like, yeah, do you know what? It's all right. What about you? You're a fan, aren't you?
It's one of my favourite albums of all time.
Yeah.
It was just like, because as I started growing out of like that generic indie music scene, it was like it was the same band I'd grown to love, but doing something completely different. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of bands that have released third albums like Catfish and Blossoms, they kind of stuck to their roots. They did the same
Catfish,
thing.
yeah. Like the thing is with Catfish, like they're not even offensive. Like they're all their music is really good, but they just haven't changed, have they?
No,
Like they just have not changed their sound. It's crazy. Like I listen to them and I think this is a really good song. But it just kind of sounds like the first song. But again, they're a great band. But no, with Arctic Monkeys, you're right. Like they've definitely evolved on the musical journey.
the thing with Catfish for me, what like was the final straw. They did a headline show in Sheffield at Don Valley Bowl, and they're supposed to be this massive live band. I've seen them like 5, 6 times, so they were quite all right live. But when they played their own headline show, and you heard of Little Comets,
Oh yeah, what a band!
yeah,
I like
Little
Little Comets.
Comets supported, and but they were wrong. It only played for about an hour. And I was thinking, like, when you had one album out, you played for longer than you did. Now you've got 3 albums out. I just found it very bizarre and
Yeah.
strange. And it was like, yeah, I
That's a
think
bit of a
Bam,
cop out, isn't it?
yeah, I think he got too big for his boots. And it'll be interesting to see what they do when they come back. I've been incredibly disappointed with them this year. Like they've done
They've
nothing.
been they've not been done anything, have they? And there's been a lot of like things where bands should really be speaking up and supporting things. You know, like a lot of the big like the Black Lives Matter campaign, things like that. You don't have to do anything as a band, but I think if you want to influence people and their way of thinking, I think just like a few tweets just to say this is our stance on it. But yeah, they've been really quiet, haven't they?
Well,
Nothing.
I mean, contrasting Blossoms have released a full In Isolation album.
I know Blossom stuff's been great, hasn't it? I loved their
Yeah.
videos that they did quite early on. They were great, and they did them with like Miles Kane, didn't they? And
Mm. Yeah.
yeah,
They've
so
done that.
yeah, Blossom's really proactive.
And then like on the other hand, Catfish doing nothing. I mean, even Arctic Monkeys, they like sold off Alex's guitar, didn't they, to raise
That's it.
money for
They
Lead.
raised loads. They raised that was for the Music Venue Trust, but no, it was for the Lead Mill, wasn't it?
Yeah, it raised
In
like 200
Sheffield.
grand or even more. It's like I know Catfish aren't that big, but you can still do something for your loyal fans who have got you to where you are.
Yeah, I completely agree. But then I suppose like maybe there's some personal stuff going on. You never know. I don't know. But like you say, I think if you're able to, then definitely do stuff for your fans.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like, no, it was just disappointing. So, what would you say is like your favorite album of all time?
Of all time.
Yeah.
Oh blimey. So that's a good question. So I think my favourite album of all time would be definitely Maybe. But my most important album is Up the Bracket by the Libertines.
How
Because
come?
they were like the first band. You know, obviously I love like music was all around me growing up. Like my granddad taught us all to play an instrument and when we were really little. So we were always like going to orchestras and things like that. And then obviously growing up in the pubs and stuff with my mum and dad, it was just Oasis and all the Britpop stuff. But I think it's when I was just joined sixth form and the Libertines had just come out, showing my age here. But I just fell in love with them. Like it was like deep. Like I was obsessed, absolutely obsessed with them. So Up the Bracket is like the most important album to me.
Yeah, because like Libertines were like massive when they first came about, weren't they? Like,
Oh yeah. When I
yeah,
got to meet them all a couple of years ago, it was like dream come true.
I can't say I've like ever really listened to them religiously. I know the main
You
ones, like
should.
what,
Like
what
not just the stuff that they've released either, but a lot of their B-sides are incredible. And like obviously on offspin of Libertines like Baby Shambles and Dirty Pretty Things to like that was also like me growing up because Libertines broke up not really long after their second album really. So then it was Baby Shambles and Dirty Pretty Things, but yeah, love them.
well, I saw a video actually, like the other week of them playing at a festival last year, I think it was. And obviously when they came about, like they were very drug influenced as performers. I don't think it's wrong in saying that because like
No,
and
I think that's common knowledge, Dan.
yeah, and then last year, like obviously without the drugs, they just seemed bored. Like Pete was there and just strumming his guitar, and Carl they looked fed up in a way. I was like,
Oh, they played in Newcastle, didn't they? The the Virgin Money gigs.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess it's survived. Like the Libertines, but well, I've seen the Libertines loads. Like I only saw them, I didn't see them before their comeback. It was only after they were united I saw them loads. But it's usually very high energy, their kind of gigs. But
Mm.
with Pete, he either turns up or he doesn't. And
Yeah,
the amount
it's
of
usually
Pete
just not
gigs I've
ten
been to,
dollars.
whether it's like Baby Shambles or Pete solo gigs, like sometimes I've been waiting outside in the cold until like midnight, and then like, oh, I'm not just about to go home now. Fed up with waiting 3 hours. And then they're like, oh, he's here. I'm
Yeah,
like, great. And then everyone else has left, and you get this like amazing gig until like 2 a.m. But and then other
that's what
times he
happened.
like one gig when he was a Baby Shambles, he played like 3 hours and they had to pull his mic in the end. They're like, curfew, stop playing. He was playing like Smith's covers of Stone Roses, just going off on one. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that's quite good to be fair. Like,
Yeah.
you got your money's worth.
But that's the thing, it's a gamble. It's
Yeah.
whether it's a good gig or not. Like you
What's
say, you
your
could turn up and just be really bored. And other times you'd be right into it and he'll give you a great show.
Yeah, yeah. And I think for me, like my most important album to me would be David Bowie, Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. Don't know if
Yes.
you're a fan of Bowie or not, but
Yeah, love Bowie.
for me, like that album, start to finish, is just phenomenal. Like obviously it starts with 5 years and ends with Rock and Roll Suicide. It's just like a whole
Yeah, it's a brilliant
story.
album.
Yeah,
So was that, were you into that from when you were young, or is that just like a more recent?
that's probably like when I turned 17, 18.
I don't
So
know how old you are. So you don't have to tell everyone for the sake of the
I'm
podcast.
actually 22 in 3 days.
Ah,
So yeah,
little babby.
yeah. So like 5 years ago, like, I got into Bowie because we saw Last Shadow, so like started getting into the Last Shadow Puppets and all that sort of stuff, and they did a cover of Moon Age Daydream,
Yeah.
which got me into Bowie, and then it just stemmed from there. Listening to that album, just thought this is phenomenal, and it's either that and like album from when I was young, like really young, like year 6, year 7, I think. Yeah, it would have been around that. Word Gets Around, Stereophonics.
Oh, brilliant band. Yeah, that's a good thing about music as well, is like the way you find new bands through the music that you listen to. Whether it's like if you maybe just read something that your band says that they like, and you're like, oh, I might just listen to them and try them out, and then you really like them. I love that whole like musical journey.
Yeah, yeah. Like, that's a good thing about like streaming nowadays. I suppose you want to get like
Yeah,
recommended and just stuff like that.
I know it's brilliant. I love that though. On like a little Spotify gen, and you go onto the radio and you listen to like the Spotify radio, and you find all these new people. I'm constantly like trying to find new people. I'll be interested to see. They do that Spotify roundup at the end of the year,
Oh, yeah,
and they say like how many new artists and bands you've discovered this year. I'll be quite interested to see the number because it'd be a lot.
definitely. So like, obviously you've been to hundreds of gigs in your life, but what's
Yeah,
number one?
the best ever gig. It's got to be, well, I saw Stone Roses quite a few times and they weren't always great. So Isle of Wight, like Ian's voice was totally off. Like me and my brother were stood there like, what? He was
Yeah.
singing Don't Stop and we were like, oh. But I think Stone Roses Wembley is probably the most like powerful gig I've ever been to. And I saw,
2016.
sorry, Dan,
Was that like the 2016 one or 2017? Recently.
2017, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not that old.
No, no.
Yeah, 2017. So it was like that we knew it was going to be like the last time. I think their final gig was in Glasgow, I think, the
Yeah.
next day. And it was the final time we were ever going to see them. We knew that. But it's just the atmosphere, like the crowd were just, it was just like you just felt this buzz. It was amazing. Like the whole day was just incredible. Like the weather was amazing. Like we all just had a great laugh and just that the whole day was just brilliant. And I think what it was Etihad. I think I drank a bit too much, and like my memory of it is not great. I can remember a few songs, but I just completely ruined it. So with Wembley, I was like, right, I'm gonna be really good. I'm gonna enjoy myself, and it was just brilliant. Like where we were stood, like right in the middle, and you could just like see everyone around the stadium. So it was good. And I've seen Oasis, but I just didn't really appreciate it
Yeah.
because I never thought that it would be the end. So I didn't really appreciate it very much. But there's been loads of good, like memorable, like festival headliners and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Stone Roses when they played the Etihad like those 4 or 5 days, and like I had one too many that day, but it was good. But it's not like number one for me. Like Stone Roses were never like my favorite band. It was my first ever stadium gig, so like obviously it's memorable for that. But I liked them, but they were never like number one. But
What's your best gig then?
well, I've got a few because like it's all for different reasons. So Arctic Monkeys at Transmit was unreal. That was
Oh, that was such a good set.
that was like one of the best days of my life in general. But in terms of like just gigs, not festival, probably Kasabian at King Power.
Yes, I was there. What a day.
That was like I broke my leg that year, and I got off
What you say that day? I was like, Jesus, it must have been a good gig.
I got off crutches like the day before that gig, and then I ended up having to have a second operation because I proper knackered my leg at that gig, and it was well
worth it.
And we
Oh, do you know what? That day as well, I can remember because it was a bit like Victoria. I went to see Kasabian at Victoria Park as well. I think it was a year before, but King Power. I just remember like the next day, my legs were in absolute agony. Where we were just jumping, just jumping up and down. Obviously, all drank a bit and all bloody off under. But yeah, I woke up the next day and we were camping in Leicester. It's like field out just outside Leicester. And I woke up and I was like, I literally can't move. But that was such a good gig.
We went on the opening night because I think we did 3 days, and then the opening day when they debuted Put Your Life on It.
No, they only did one show, didn't they? For King Power.
They did 2 or 3, definitely. They did a Friday and a Saturday, I think. Yeah.
I went on the Saturday.
Well, it might have just been the Saturday then. But the debut Put Your Life on It, definitely, for the first ever time.
I loved that album.
Yeah, me too.
Crying out loud, it was such a good album. And what a shame with all this Kasabian thing, eh?
I know, we did a video on it when it first happened. I still agree with what I said at the time, actually. They've got to be finished, because without Tom, it's not the same, is it?
Yeah, see, I'm kind of like, I could see Serge being able to do it. Like, I think Serge would still, but it's not the same. Like, Tom is their front man.
Yeah.
And unless they were to kind of let things go, and I don't know, but you can't really let something like that go, can you? Like, what he did wasn't nice at all. But then I suppose it's just one of those bands that could just go down with a legacy now, rather than trying to come back and do it again. But yeah, I've had many happy memories watching Kasabian.
Yeah,
sorry, I just kicked my table then, Dan. It just went. Oh God, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
Definitely got to be up there, Kasabian.
Yeah.
Because when we were there, we actually bumped into Miles from Blossoms outside, and
did you?
And Rory Wynn as well. I don't know if you've heard of Rory Wynn.
I have. Why? Who is he? I do.
Yeah. He's like a local musician in Manchester.
I know of Rory Wynn. I'm sure I follow him, but I follow so many people now. I get so confused. There's only so much. Honestly, there is. I reckon some stuff just comes out when I'm getting new stuff in. I'm like, yeah, I've got a vague recollection. Yeah, I think I've heard of Rory Wynn.
Yeah, I think he did live at Leeds. Was it last year or year before when Pigeon Detectives were there?
Don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll check him out after.
No, he's all right. Yeah, one time he actually FaceTimed me just randomly when he was absolutely hammered, and it was just really strange. But anyways.
You answer it then.
Oh, of course.
All right.
You're right, pal.
I never do that. Someone FaceTimes them. I'm like, what do you want? Like, why? So my brother does it. I'm like, mate, I'm just come out the shower. Like, I'm not seeing your face. Just phone me.
Oh no, it was dark.
Oh, that's all right then. Oh, that's good. I think I don't want to chat too much, Dan, and just so you've got to edit loads.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Okay.
Well, Sam,
that was a lovely chat. That was.
Yeah, thank you for your time, and all the best with all your projects that you've got going on. And yeah, I wish you well.
Oh, and you too, Dan. And my next radio show is on Monday, the 9th. Just getting it in there on Radio Free Matlock. But no, lovely to talk to you, Dan. Lovely to see you for the first time.
Yeah, lovely to speak to you too. The link for Sam's radio show is in the bio below. Obviously, you can follow us on all social media. Make sure you follow Sam as well. She's great for promoting any band. So yeah, just get involved. So yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you for your time.
And you have a good evening.
You too.
See ya.